Well, hello everyone and welcome. My name is ReaN, but you already know that. In today's video, we are going to be talking more about what happened against the likes of Sheffield Wednesday and a few other subjects in terms of who we should bring in and the issues afloat. But if you are a football fan and you want more EFL coverage, then show your love and support by leaving a like, commenting, sharing and subscribing, because the subs are more important on this channel. So let's recap in what many fans would think a missed opportunity and others would think what on earth happened to our team. Of course, we went into the game hoping for big things, and without a shadow of a doubt, we can still aim big, but we need to improve if we want to win games at this level. I mean, both halves were lackluster in performance, and we need pacey wingers and pacey players to go on the attack to cross the ball for our newly signed players, Kiefer Moore. About to say Simon Moore then, what? But yeah, up front, and that is proven throughout the game. Our wingers can't provide the ball to Moore on the wings, which is frustrating, of course. And with that said, we must dip into the window to bring in more players. Of course, the news last week we didn't discuss was the departure of Nathaniel Mendez-Laing. Now, I'm not going to go in depth, or all I'm going to say on the matter is that thanks Mendez-Laing for playing for us throughout these years. So that's all I'm going to say on the matter, but that does leave a big hole in the team. Obviously, Mendez-Laing is a influence, and throughout his time with us he has been charging forward with Tomlin, and yes, so with that said, we need to replace Lang with someone pacey, skillful, and someone who can beat players, of course. So hopefully the manager can think about this. And by the way guys, Oxford, there's rumours that Oxford want to get Gavin White back to the club, and if that happens, we desperately need wingers, because we cannot rely on players such as Hoylett and Murphy. Hoylett's, I don't want to say it, but Hoylett's a bit old now to do what he can, and yeah, and because he ain't got the pace anymore, that means he can't do any skills with the ball, and that is lackluster to say the least. Apart from that, yeah, things aren't looking too rosy at the moment, but in order to do better, you have to fail, and we did fail, but hopefully this week now the team can solve any issues, or like make sure the mistakes will not happen again. So hopefully things do look rosy coming into the Forest game, which I'm gonna preview at the end of the podcast today. So that is that for the recap of the Sheffield Wednesday loss. A team who were on -12 are now -9. So yes. And after that defeat, let's get to Twitter. This is a segment now we're responding to people on Twitter throughout this podcast. So we are going first to hear what the manager is going to be saying, and he has said about the defeat, ultimately, and I quote by the way, ultimately, if we're not going to show the quality in games like that, then they need to be 0-0. That's where we fall short today. We were architects of our own downfall. that was different, and in the Championship you'll be punished in that way. So with that being said, obviously he is down in the dumps as well after that defeat knowingly, but we can't think about it for much longer because we've got other games, excuse me, to come back with. So with that said of the manager, let's turn to the fans on Twitter. And up first is a football fan called Ben Thomas, who types, "Shambolic start of the season. Looked lackluster, lost and confused before the referee's whistle even blew. In need of a dominant centre midfielder and a winger. We really missed the pace of Mendes Lang. At least it cannot get worse. Can it?" Hashtag CCFC. Of course, Ben Thomas is spot on with his tweet, and we did miss the quality of Mendes and had during this game, and that is why that manager Neil Harris need to replace Lang with someone equal to Lang's quality, pace and power. Here we have another tweet which Bluebirds Gossip has said, "As bad as we were against Northampton and now Sheffield Wednesday, I don't believe you can say Harris out already. I'm seeing it quite a bit on my timeline. He got us to the playoffs last season, so silly to say it. Always say judge managers after 12 games at least." Yeah, agree with this tweet. Also, the club don't need knee-jerk reactions really, because that's how we end up like Watford. Of course, Watford change managers like the seasons. So, yeah. We have got another tweet now. This is the final tweet. And it comes from Damien Barnard, or whatever you say it. And he says, "Murphy, Flint, Patterson, Tomlin all have to start next game v Forest. Hashtag changes." That was poo emoji. I mean, a lot of these tweets I'm agreeing with, but we had Bamba on the bench, so instead of Flint, potentially have Bamba alongside Morrison to reunite the partnership between them. But that is a view from the fans, of course, and you listening, or you can get involved just by giving out your name on the, just by hashtagging Sam ReaN, all capitals and no spaces, and I could read them out and give thoughts on your tweets on this podcast. So every game I'm going to be doing a Twitter section where I read out your comments after the game, and if you want to get involved, just use the hashtag Sam ReaN straight after the match is finished. So that has been Twitter, and let's see what we have in the next segment, and that is my EFL predictions for this weekend. So every weekend I'm going to give my EFL predictions, and this week I'm going to predict the Cardiff game until the last piece of the puzzle of today's podcast. And if you want to play along, then comment below your predictions for each match, and I might be able to show them on the podcast. But let's get things over with. Let's get things going. Let's get the ball rolling onto the fixture that sees Wycombe taking on Blackburn, in which I'm predicting a 1-0 to Wycombe in this game. Obviously, Wycombe is a big team coming up from the Championship. Not as big as like Coventry, but I'm predicting 1-0 to Wycombe. I'm backing Wycombe for that one because it is Blackburn at the end of the day. So the next game is Brentford versus Huddersfield. Now, Brentford lost last game, which was a big shock knowing that they're going for the promotion push. So, yeah, I'm going to predict a 2-1 win to Brentford against Huddersfield. Of course, Huddersfield at the bottom of the table last season, and I'm predicting the same this season. So, 2-1 to Brentford, a end-to-end game, really. And, yeah, the next game is Luton v Derby, which is tough because Derby lost. So I'm actually predicting Luton drawing with Derby 2-2, and I'll tell you for why. Because obviously we have Luton an underdog through the EFL seasons, so I'm predicting something to happen to them that shoots them up the table. And with that said in mind, I'm going for 2-2. The next game after that is a Middlesbrough who is hosting a Bournemouth side who actually last game absolute had a match of their season so far. Mainly because it was the first game of the season, but a good game nonetheless for Bournemouth. The Cherries won 3-2 of course at home against Blackburn, so that was an entertaining game. And Middlesbrough, I think they lost their first game, so Neil Warnock would want to get off to a winning start, which he didn't exactly. So I am actually going to be going 2-1 to Bournemouth, obviously. And then in the next game we have Norwich taking on Preston, and I'm predicting a win for Norwich. Preston, I don't know what to think of Preston. They lost to the Jacks, Swansea City last time out, so I don't know for Preston. Maybe this season they might miss out again, but they're not doing so good so far. And so yeah, I'm predicting 2-0 to Norwich City. The next game we see is Reading taking on Barnsley. And funnily enough, it's Reading I'm predicting winning 1-0. Yeah. 1-0 to Reading, who are top of the table at the moment, and I see them winning a lot more games. So Reading 1-0, yeah. So we move on now to Rotherham v Millwall, and I'm predicting a 2-1 to Millwall, because Millwall is going to be a big game for Millwall, because Millwall needs to get the points on the board. And yeah, it's going to be interesting really, because two teams wanting the points, two tough teams, so it might go end to end, who knows. But I am indeed predicting a 2-1 to Millwall. Last but not least, of course, is going to be Sheffield Wednesday taking on Watford. I'm predicting a Watford win 3-2. It's going to be a big game for both teams, and yeah, I reckon Watford will nick it at the end, which is going to be exciting to say the least, isn't it? So yeah, that's it for my predictions. Let's see the prediction. Yeah, so Wickham 1-0 against Blackburn, 2-1 to Brentford at home to Huddersfield, 2-2 between Luton and Derby, 2-1 away against Middlesbrough for Bournemouth, 2-0 for Norwich against Preston, Reading 1-0 against Barnsley, and Rotherham losing 2-1 against Millwall, and a 3-2 to Watford at Sheffield United. And it is going to be a tough game for Sheffield, because if you think of it, I know it was easy for beating Cardiff, but you know what, it's a tough team, Watford, and it's going to be interesting really. So yes, And the final game, of course, the absolute final game I missed out on was the Jacks Swansea City, who host Birmingham City. Yeah, Birmingham, are ya? And so I'm going to predict a 2-0 to Birmingham. No, actually, I'm going to predict a 3-1 to Birmingham. Of course, I predict everything against the Jacks because they're Cardiff City's arch rivals, and I just want everything to happen badly for the Jacks. So that is my prediction. If you want to drop down your predictions down below, and we'll find that out in this weekend, of course. And so in the next segment, after the EFL predictions, we do have the final piece of today, and that is Cardiff City away against Nottingham Forest. Obviously, Cardiff is going to be needing the points, so are Forest, because Forest lost last time, and yeah. Plus, this is on Sky Sports as well, so hopefully we can get a win on TV. So this is a match where Cardiff need their first win this season against Forest side, who also need their first win. Both teams who fought for the playoffs last season did not really start well alongside Brentford, so it's vital for us to beat Forest to get ahead of them in terms of promotion via the playoffs or top 2. Even though we lost to a team who were -12, I still think we have a big part to play in the race for promotion. But we are going to need the game. We are going to actually need to get into the game with aggression, with urgency, and the fight to win. Obviously, against Sheffield Wednesday, we did not have any of that, but hopefully Harris can rectify the mistakes and improve on the tactics. So the game against Sheffield was a one-off, hopefully, so we can learn from our mistakes and go again more urgently. So hopefully, we can get into the game and control the game like we did at home. But we need more creativity, and if we are going to win, we need a winger, at least a winger, in before the actual game itself. We need like 2 players in the team ASAP before the game, because we need creativity in the team and we need pace on the wing. And I doubt Gavin White has the pace, I doubt Hoylett has the pace, and Murphy, I don't know what is happening with him. He's obviously got the lack of confidence, I think, to go forward, to beat players. He's not that type of player, is he? Let's be fair. Murphy, the problem is we have players who are aging, who cannot perform on the highest level on the pitch, who, I don't know, just lack the quality really. We have Hoylett, who can beat players but cannot anymore because of his age, so that's the downside. We got Murphy, who needs the confidence to actually do amazing in that games, which he's hardly starting, so that's another factor. And White we're never going to see because Oxford might get him and he might not even get a run out, so yeah, I don't know what's happening with him. We have options though. We did bring in a couple youngsters. We brought in Tutu from Arsenal and Ojo from Liverpool, so hopefully one of them can fit in the role. I think Tutu did last time out, but yeah. And we still got another youngster from Manchester United, so hopefully he gets a game or two, and hopefully the youngsters can help us out. But I am confident. So this game is big for both teams, and like I said in previous podcast, the start of the season is more vital than the end, because you pick up the points at the start, and you still pick up points, but it's more important to pick up points early on than later on, because you don't know what will happen with the virus, you don't know what will happen in the future. So yes, I am predicting a win for the Bluebirds, and yes, it's going to be 2-1 to Cardiff City. We are going to be going away against Forest, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Forest approaches this, because are they going to beat us? I don't know, but yeah, last time we played Forest at home, we lost 1-0. Then we won 1-0 when we went to their ground. Then we won. So the last 5 games we had with Forest, we lost 1. So we only lost that one time at home last season. So God knows what will happen here. Not big score lines either, so don't expect a massive scoreline against Forest, and that is why I'm going 2-1 to Cardiff City, of course, and that is going to be that for today. Today is going to be the final bit now, the outro of the podcast, and that is it for today. Thank you guys for joining me, and let me know down below your predictions, of course, for the big game, and share this video with your mates who could well be a Bluebird himself or herself, or they just might be a football fan. And if that's the case, make sure you show your love and support. As always, we do everything Cardiff City and the EFL here on this channel. I also do like video games and vlogging and all that juicy jazz, but to get the very latest of Cardiff City in the EFL for the 2020-21 season, make sure you show your love and support by leaving a comment, sharing, liking and subscribing. And with that said in mind, I have been your host, Sam ReaN. This is the Bluebirds podcast. And with that said, hope you fellow football fans stay safe and happy for this weekend's return to football. Thanks again, and goodbye.